going deeper into your 8 factors of engagement profile. In this presentation, you will see an example using the engagement pyramid to create an action plan. This is Shea's sample report we will use for this example. Shea turns to page 4 to review her engagement pyramid. First, she notices that her overall calculated engagement score is a 3.6. This is a good score that falls in the cautiously engaged range. Not bad, but there are opportunities for improvement, so she looks further to find out. Shea notices that both of her foundational factor scores are lower than 4.0. Purpose scores 3.3 and accountability scores 3.7. Using what we learned in the previous section, Shea's priorities for action are the foundational factors of purpose and accountability. So, how does Shea identify actions she could take to work on these factors? Let's go deeper. Shea turns to page 5 of her report, where she'll find the statements related to her purpose and accountability scores. She notices that 3 statements under purpose and accountability have different colored bullets. A green bullet indicates active engagement, a yellow bullet indicates cautious engagement, and a red bullet indicates not engaged. We focus on the yellow and red bulleted statements for action planning. Under purpose, there are 2 statements with yellow bullets. Sometimes I have the opportunity to do work that I am passionate about, and I am not always clear on how my work aligns to the goals of the organization. Shea then moves on to accountability, where she finds 1 statement with a yellow bullet. Performance standards are not always set or maintained consistently by my organization. With these 3 statements in mind, Shea then considers the reflection questions at the bottom of page 5. The first reflection question is, what are your observations and reflections when looking at your scores and statements of engagement? In her journal or on her profile page, Shea writes her responses. On purpose, she notices that she isn't really surprised. She thinks it's true she's not passionate about everything she does, and sometimes she's not sure if her work makes any difference. On accountability, she isn't surprised either. She thinks some of her team members are given more time and encouragement when they make mistakes, while others, including hers, sometimes are not. That feels inconsistent to her. These are the first reflections on these factors. Let's go further. Shea would then respond to the remaining reflection questions. Before we start creating our action plan, we must review the scores for recognition and development. Shea turns to page 7 of her profile to review the recognition factor. Of the 3 statements below recognition, the first one, I feel recognized for the work I do, is one she could take immediate action on if the bullet was yellow or red. She notices it is green, so she's actively engaged and does not need to add this to her action plan. If your profile shows a statement with either a yellow or red bullet, add it to your own action planning by using the reflection questions at the bottom of page 7. One immediate action you can take is to have a discussion with your supervisor about how you'd like to be recognized for your work. Now, we'll move on to the development factor. Shea turns to page 8 where she finds the development factor. Of the 3 statements below development, the middle one, I rarely have discussions or talks about my performance and development, is one she could take immediate action on if it has a yellow or red bullet. She notices it is red, and so it should be added to her action planning. The first statement has a yellow bullet, and the third is red, and so also need to be added to her action planning. Shea starts with the reflection questions at the bottom of page 8. One immediate action to consider is to have a discussion with her supervisor about development opportunities she'd like to pursue. If successful, these bullets could go green within the next 6 months. Now, let's proceed to action planning. Shea turns to page 9, Action Plan. With her thoughts from pages 5, 7, and 8 in mind, she responds to these items. Her responses may be something like this. My reliable and belonging scores are very good. My foundational factors are not where I want them to be, so I will focus on purpose and accountability. I'll also include the development factor, which has yellow and red bullets. I could get clearer on those factors through conversations with my supervisor and team members. I might even become more passionate and engaged when I find out more about expectations. I'll also discuss development opportunities with my supervisor. I could schedule a meeting with my supervisor, choose 2 or 3 team members, and schedule meetings with them. Knowing my supervisor's expectations could get me more engaged. I want to share my thoughts and get my supervisor's thoughts on possible developing opportunities. Helping my team members could make me more passionate about the work we do, and I love to help people. At the bottom of page 9, Shea has some suggested action items. Shea completes her action plan by considering these suggestions. In the next section, you'll create your own action plan.